Okay, we're back again. And as I said, we've got a whole boatload of request videos here. I'm going to try to wrap up quite a few of them here on this long weekend that I have. And the next one that I want to do here is, and again, this is a request video, dream state training, the etheric body cleanse or purge. Okay. Again, I want to mention this. Evolution waits for no one and no one's belief systems. All right. And the other thing I want to add is when I'm giving information on a video, I'm speaking in general terms. There are always variations and there are also exceptions. All right. Now, one of the things that we had noticed, myself and Nicole, and a few other people that have gotten a hold of us, and like I said, the one advantage that we have is because we've been around a long time, especially on YouTube. I've been up here a long time. I have a lot of connections all over the planet, and I get a lot of feedback from people that what's going on. All right. And one of the things that I've been hearing, and it started happening in about, I believe, January of this past year. And for myself and Nicole, we figured it out right away. And then when we got some validation from other people, we figured it had to be going on with quite a lot of people in the spiritual community. And that would be what we call a purging and a cleansing of the etheric body. And did I do that? Did I say that right? Hang on a second here. Yeah, the etheric body and also the physical body. And what I mean by that is we had, both of us, Nicole and I, in January, probably the weirdest cold that we've ever had. Nicole was literally bedridden for about 4 or 5 days. And the symptoms were, for a cold, I was astounded because it was just incredible, the stuff that she was going through. And this was not like your normal cold at all. It was deep, it was core issue, and the physical symptoms were, I don't want to repeat them all here because it'd take me 10 minutes just to do that. But interestingly enough, at that time, what happened is because she has a cold, she was sleeping in another room, so I didn't figure that I would get it. But I did. And the weirdest thing about the cold that we had is normally, as a general rule, I think in most places when you get a cold, by the time the symptoms start and the cold actually finish, it's about a 2 weeks time span. This particular cold symptom that we had was all packed into 5 days. And when I got it, the physical symptoms were incredible. They were not like a cold. I had a sore nasal passage. I had headaches going from side to side. I had earaches, sore throat, aches and pains that were just in different locations all over the body. And it was all packed into 5 days, and it was not fun. As a general rule, I don't even get colds to start off with. I haven't had a cold since I can't remember the last one. And it was all packed into 5 days. And when it got finished, Nicole and I were talking about it, and we came up to the conclusion that there was some kind of purge going on, excuse me, in regards to the etheric body. And this would pertain to viruses and colds, and also in regards to the immune system. Now, one of the things that I do know is that through this evolutionary process that we're all going through, it seems as though, and the process seems to begin at the top, and it seems to come in a filtering down. And one of the things that's last is the physical body. The physical body is the vehicle of our expression in these new states of consciousness that we are achieving. And the physical body, as you know, in most cases here, I mean, there are people who are very healthy and very active physically. And then there are people who are not in the greatest of physical shape, and the ages vary, between these people. I mean, you can be in lousy physical shape at 20 as you can be at 80. all right? It doesn't really matter. But what's happening is the worse physical condition that you are in, the more the symptoms seems to be more intense and prolonged for a lot of people. And this is what we found out in this particular situation. And we've had people get a hold of us in different parts of the planet who have been talking about this cleanse and purge of the physical body, which is manifesting into the physical body and is causing all kinds of symptoms. Now, to continue on with it, for me personally, what's been going on lately, which is really significant, and this has all been happening, interestingly, at night, and usually what will happen is I'll wake up and I'm in the dream state, and I'm doing whatever I'm doing like everybody else is in this day and age, and I'll wake up and I'm not really asleep and I'm not really awake, and what's happening is I'm feeling, I don't even know how to describe the damn things, like electrical currents, if I can put it that way. It doesn't feel like Kundalini energy moving. It feels like shocks of electricity, if you were. Somebody like put a live wire on a certain part of your body, and the electricity shooting through, a particular part of the body, and you can feel like the electrical currents or the feeling of the energy moving through like veins or the subtle parts of different parts of the body. And I've come to the conclusion, I was talking to Nicole about it the other day, that something is going on. Now, you've heard me mention before about these particular sheath bodies that I've talked about, and I don't want to get really into it too much here, but I have mentioned that besides the etheric body and the physical body, that contained within the etheric body are 12 additional sheath bodies, and these sheath bodies are what's going to allow our personality to develop to higher dimensions and degrees, and these sheath bodies are also going to allow us to move into different timelines and dimensions comfortably, if I can put it that way, over the next little while, and need to be rewired. So as the etheric body is going through these cleanses and purgings, and the other thing that's been going on is I've been hearing from a multitude of people lately, and so is Nicole, as a matter of fact, about people having digestive issues and bowel problems. And it seems to come all down to the food intake situation, all right? Now, what I found is this in the last little while is I was finding myself being very uncomfortable with doing any kind of red meat, and I kind of pretty much went to chicken and fish diet, and that was about it, with a lot of fruits and vegetables. Plus, I take a lot of supplements. I'm a real supplement guy, and I'm not going to get into the whole scenario that I get into. I use a lot of superfoods and stuff like that. But anyways, what happened is recently, Nicole and my diet has changed, and I find that I now need to have some kind of red meat occasionally to fit in with the diet. And I'm starting to figure out that, it's really amazing for me because at my age, I'm going to be 75 in a couple of months. And I'm finding I'm eating a lot of food, but I'm not gaining weight per se. I've actually lost weight, and my body is very slim and very trim. And I don't even have a lot of body fat left on me. But now I'm craving heavier foods. And it seems like what happens is the digestive system is going through a whole new change and a new switchover. And I believe this is because a lot of purging has gone on with the physical body, and people are going to be very mindful, they need to be very mindful of what they're putting into their bodies at this particular point in time, if this video is making any sense to you. Now, this video is not going to be for basically the twin flame community. This is going to be for probably just a few people who will have an interest along this line. The other thing that I am noticing also is the endocrine system, which I want to touch on just briefly here for a moment, is, and I have to go back to the dream state training here for a minute in this video. When you're having the dream state training and you're having a lot of these old patterns and belief systems and ideologies removed, These patterns have been there for an extended period of time, but the most damaging ones are the ones that have been put in since you were born into this timeline now, okay? Yes, the ones previous or in the future are important also, but these ones now that you come in from point A to point B in your life are extremely important because they dictated the condition of the body physical, but more importantly, they dictated the condition of the endocrine system, and they dictated the situation of the immune system. So what's happening with these particular physical symptoms that are going on is these tendencies for certain viruses like colds, flu, and very shortly, I believe, STDs, sexually transmitted diseases, are now being affected because of greater awareness of people so that the endocrine system has to come into switching around and retuning itself, so to speak, so that hormones are secreted into the body of an individual who is further down the road in consciousness and awareness, all right? In other words, a lot of people right now are going through pretty much what I call almost like a physical death, where all parts of the body are dying literally to what awareness was in it, to the new state of consciousness and awareness that is in this particular organ or that particular part of the body. And a lot of this stuff right now is, interestingly enough, located below the diaphragm. What that means, the reproductive area, the stomach, digestive system, and the lower organs of the body. Elimination, in fact, by definition, is one of them that's very important at this particular point in time. So I want to mention this. Now, this is going to sound a lot of this stuff, the toxins, now when I'm saying toxins, I'm not talking about physical toxins, all right? I'm talking about toxins of consciousness and belief systems that have been impregnated, for lack of a better expression, into the secretion of the secretions of the endocrine system, all right? The hormones being secreted are now being changed. And what's happening is the process of elimination from the body and the usual channels. I'm trying to put this in, the nicest way I can, rather than just say, well, most people around just need to go for a good shit and half their problems would be solved. I could have said it that way, but I didn't. I just did, didn't I? Okay. So what I'm saying to you is make sure that your poop chute is working very, very efficiently, because right now what's happening is you are eliminating a lot of toxins, not necessarily from what's been put into the body, but toxins from your consciousness that need to be filtered through, cleansed out of the body, which in turn allows the endocrine system to begin to secrete hormones differently into the body. Because when you were a teenager and you were going through the teenager, that's when your endocrine system was literally programmed for the physical performance that you have now. And since we're evolving and changing, and the physical body is a vehicle that must change and evolve, this is exactly what is happening at this particular point. So now, as this is taking place, what you need to remember is as much, and the way that you can tell how this is going to manifest for you. I think a lot of the problem here is a lot of people know they're going through something, but they don't really know how it's going to express or how it's going to unfold. So I'll help you out here. Since you may have figured out and agree with me that you're going through something, hang on, I want a sip of tea here. Since you may agree with me that you're going through some kind of purge or cleanse, what you can do to kind of become a little bit more self-aware and feel more comfortable, and this is what I'm finding is I like to do for people. I like them to feel more comfortable of the process they're going through. And when you feel a little bit more comfortable and you're a little bit more aware of what's going on, it doesn't seem like a horrific experience so much as you're going through it. So if I put it to you this way, go back to your teenage years, if you can go back into it, and take a look at the traumas that you may have experienced. Now, I'm talking about sexual abuse. It could have been emotional. It could have been physical abuse. It could have been, somebody hit you on the side of the head with a hockey stick, or you could have been in a car accident. It could have been a multitude of things. A trauma can come under many different titles as such. Go back and take a look at the traumas that you have experienced in your life and look at them as if you're apart from them. Now, what I mean by that is don't go back and relive the experience. Go back and look at it. There's a difference here. Too many times and this is another important point that I want to bring out, part of the package of the changing of your consciousness is being able to go back when your personality gets the right point and going back and taking a look at stuff that you went through as like a trauma back in your teenage year. And not necessarily feeling the emotion of it, because that's pointless. You don't want to do that. Nobody does. I don't want to do it. And why should you? But you should be at the point now where you can step back and go back and take a look and not get emotionally involved in the trauma. That's a sign of spiritual maturity. And that's a sign that your consciousness has evolved, if you can do that. If you can't, then I don't recommend that you do this, all right? It'll come later for everyone, all right? So go back and take a look at it and see the situation that you went through. And then understand that what's going to happen is that trauma, whatever it may have been under any particular thing, is going to come out somewhere in your dream state training. You're going to experience it, you're going to cleanse it, you're going to purge it, all right? And how many of you heard me say it? Everything begins at the top and filters down. The last part of it is the changes that need to take place in the physical body. Now, what happens is as this filters down from the dream state into the physical, there are changes in the molecular and cellular structure of your body, and it even affects your DNA. Now, I'm keeping this as simple as possible. Not that anybody is stupid out there, but I just want to give you enough information so that you know that I know what the hell I'm talking about, all right? So when this filters down into those areas that I've talked about, and you experience some of the release and the purging of this in the dream state, because your imaginative faculty will create whatever experience is necessary for you to do that, then sooner or later it's going to filter down into the physical. But before it does that, it's going to filter into the etheric body. Now, as you've heard me say, the etheric body is a template or a duplicate of the physical. And every organ that you have in the physical body is also in the etheric or etheric body. That's just one of them. So that energetic template or imprint, if you will, gets dissolved and broken up. And that can be expressed in many different ways, depending upon whether the abuse that you experienced, for example, was mental, emotional, or physical. All right, there's a lot of mechanics going on in this particular situation. So when you remember it this way, then remember sooner or later it's going to filter down into the physical. And when it does, there are going to be physical symptoms. Now at this point, well, let's say, for example, it was sexual abuse, okay? Then what's going to happen is there's going to be physical symptoms in the reproductive area for that person of that template being removed, modified, or changed. Because if you've been involved in sexual abuse, what happens is your reproductive organs have been affected at a molecular and a cellular level, all right? And when it's affected at a molecular or a cellular level, this can cause cancer, okay? That's the cause of cancer. It's a mutation in the molecular and cellular level of the etheric body, which then filters into the physical. So we're changing all of that. And what's happening is in the dream state, when you eliminate this shit, it filters downward. So then what happens is into the etheric body, it breaks up and dissolves then, and then it's going to manifest as symptoms in the physical body. So what I'm saying is everybody unique unto themselves. The process is the same, but it manifests uniquely through everybody. It is going through right now, and it has been in January, February, and March, and still going on. This process in the physical body of all kinds of symptoms. Now, a lot of people are saying this is ascension symptoms. It has nothing to do with ascension. This has to do with retooling, remodeling, and refining the condition of the physical body, because we're not going to go into higher states of consciousness on a perennial basis, dragging all of that old stuff and programming through a physical body. If we do, we're going to burn out very, very quickly in the higher dimension. So it's simply not going to happen until we all go through this cleansing and purging of the etheric body and also the physical. So, having said that to you, what's the priority at this point? Keep in mind here, you're changing the endocrine system, you're loosening up these old templates from the etheric body. The physical body is going to manifest symptoms of the old programming in the etheric body as it cleanses and purges, and then it's going to want to move up in vibration. So what is it you need to do? You need to get the best damn food you can get that's highly nutritional, and I don't care what form you choose, whatever your favorite is or whatever suits your constitution, and you need to pile it in there, because literally in some cases the organs in your body are rejuvenating and refining itself into a higher instrument of consciousness that can express through you, the individual physical in the body. So it needs that nutrient, those superfoods, those highly nutritious foods. Now, the other thing I'm going to tell you is this, and this is from my own personal experience. There are people who say that they can go through the process just buying healthy food from the grocery store. All right? I'm going to tell you something. The healthy food that you buy from the grocery store comes from land that has been recycled, replanted, recycled, replanted, recycled, replanted, generation after generation, and the nutritional content of a lot of that food is questionable, to say the least. It looks good for presentation's sake, and that's usually all we care about. When you go in and you pick out vegetables, you pick the ones that look good. In addition to that, you need supplements, superfood, for the changes that are going on in your physical body in some form or fashion that's suitable to you. I'm a big herb user, and I use superfoods. And as you can see, for a 75-year-old guy, I function quite nicely. And I can assure you all of the parts are working. Not as well as they used to when I was 40, but they still work. And this in here works even better than the rest of it. So, I'm doing something right, I think. So anyways, I wanted to share this with you because this purging and this cleansing that's going on, all right, has exactly what I said is falling into place. It's in relationship to our changes in our consciousness, which pertain to love, relationship, and sexuality. And our sexuality is in direct relationship as to how our sexual energy can manifest as to the condition of the physical body. You want me to repeat that part? Your sexuality and your sexual energy is in direct relationship to the condition of your physical body as to the sense of purity that it's had. Now, do you need to be perfect? Absolutely not. Reasonably close will do. I think I've said enough on this particular video. Have yourself a wonderful day, everyone. And when in doubt, smile. It'll probably catch them off surprise. Take care.